Good morning and welcome to the World Religions segment of Ninth Grade Academy. I'm Upper School Chaplain John Bellamy, and I'm joined in the library by hybrid teaching assistant Ms. Leslie Hayes. You should have all ready to go your notebook and a paper handout that you picked up on your way in. If you are online, I've already shared a Google Doc of that handout with you. You can make a copy of it and use it if you like. You also need a pen or pencil. No computers, no phones are needed. If it helps to pause the video now while we make sure everybody's ready to go, that's great. All right, everybody's squared away. Here's a short segment to take notes on. We can call this How Spirituality Changes from Childhood to Adulthood. How spirituality changes from childhood to adulthood. These stages that I'm about to tell you about happen whether you are a member of a religion or none at all, whether you're an atheist or you believe in a higher power. There are 6 stages typically, but only the most enlightened and wonderful people make it to stage 6, according to Professor James Fowler, who's the author of this system. Okay, so I'm going to show you some slides. Stage 1 consists of the earliest years of a person's life, up until the preschool years. During this time, we go back and forth from imagination to reality. We believe whatever it is that we experience, including the fun and the scary. Stage 2 of spiritual development in the human being. In our grade school years, we're still very literal minded, but our powers of observation get stronger, and we are less inclined to confuse fantasy with fact. Stage 3. In our high school years, we begin to construct our own personal faith. We might believe in God, or we might believe in having faith in hard work, or putting our faith in friendship or human progress. We still take part in our family's religion if there is one, but we're beginning to construct our own relationship to that religion. Stage 4. In our young adult years, we may notice that we've been all along inside a kind of a box, and that other people live in other boxes. And we might decide to just stay where we are, or to leave, or maybe to learn to move between boxes. The boxes could be cultures or religions or almost anything. A system of thinking, though. We might begin criticizing the other boxes. Most people reach spiritual maturity here and kind of remain in that box or aware of other boxes for the rest of their lives. Stage 5, in midlife, the contradictions between all these different systems might start to look more like mysteries and paradoxes instead of contradictions. And we learn to live with those contradictions without being defensive about it. Now, this stage of thinking is not for everyone, being full of ambiguity. But many people do go on beyond stage 4 to explore stage 5. Now, as I said, stage 6 is pretty much impossible. It's basically becoming the Buddha, enlightened, knowing the unity of all things and living with compassion pretty much all the time. As I said, this is rare. Okay, so we have 6 stages. We grow and we mature in a relatively predictable way. Organized religions have traditionally marked the path to spiritual maturity with ceremonies like the bat and bar mitzvah, like confirmation, and the Hindu sacred thread ceremonies. But America in the 21st century seems to be turning from only organized religions toward a more secular, pluralistic, civil spirituality. A lot fewer of you, if my guess is correct, are very religious compared with a couple of generations ago. Many of you are atheist or agnostic. And as a priest, you might imagine that I think this is a bad thing or it's not good for Breck or whatever, but I don't. In my opinion, too much of religion in the past has been patriarchal. Too much has involved scolding people. And too much of organized religion has been about money, not to be shared with the poor or the outsider, but to pay the salaries of religious leaders like me and keep up fancy buildings. I think your generation is going to be less religious, but you will also join communities that cross social boundaries and spend much less money on themselves. So, in this World Religions portion of 9th grade academy, don't expect in these videos that we think you go to church every week or you go to the mosque every Friday or that you go to the synagogue for the high holidays and maybe a couple of seders. Nevertheless, you all have practices in your family. You all have a more personal spiritual self that goes beyond organized religious traditions. Okay, so that's my intro. All right, now it's time for you to write your titles or first sentences for the 7 different questions on page 1 and the flip side of your handout. When ready, pause the video and you're going to be dividing yourselves if you're in the library, or you'll be sent into a breakout group if you're at home. And you're going to tell one story from these 7. So you're going to tell the whole story for one of your 7 titles. Okay, thanks you guys. Now we're going to move on to exercise number 2, where you're going to make these little scales from 0 to 10, ranking how important each of these 7 stories is to understanding your whole self right now. And when we're ready to go on to number 3, you can unpause, but let's pause the video here so that you can finish up with number 2. All right, welcome back to number 3. I made this Venn diagram of my own 9th grade self, doing my best to remember how important different groups of people or institutions were to me. If looking at mine helps you, great. And I also made one for myself as I am today at age 65. Once again, if it gives you any ideas about how to make things overlap or be separate, please feel free. And we can pause the video anytime now. We have reached the end. And we'll be doing a little conversation in a few minutes when you're done drawing your Venn diagrams. Thanks, everybody.